Hello, Conspicuous Moo here. Just thought I'd give you a few quick thoughts on, where I think my brewmaster's going to be ending up at the moment. First of all, I want to give a few shout-outs to some content creators who, without knowing it, have re-inspired my passion for Brewmaster. After a rather depressing last video where I was kind of contemplating my little Brewmaster's existence a bit. So Noobkex came out with a Brewmaster guide, which was very, very nice. It was very comprehensive. I didn't agree with all of it, but you know, I think he made a really, really good guide. I recommend you go and watch it. I will put a description down in the links below, because it really does cover everything that's going on with Brewmaster up to this point. And another one which I've forgotten for about a week, so I apologise for that. Is that Larold, who is a regular contributor to Wowhead, has given us a state of Brewmaster Monks as well. Highly recommend you go to there as well and read up on what his take is. Once again, I don't agree with everything, but he does really know his stuff, and well, worth a look. So I'll put that link down in the description as well. As you can see, we're on the PTR and there is no Ice Crown portal. So things are a bit quiet in the PTR at the moment. It's crashing a lot for... It's crashing more now than it was when the zombies were here, so perhaps the zombies are in the server. So I thought I'd just pop up to Ice Crown and go and do it myself, and it turns out that all the Ice Crown mobs are now level 30 again, and there's no daily quests or anything, so it's all a bit quiet, but of course we're expecting in the next 24 hours or so we're going to have another set of patches, one for beta, one for PTR. We'll probably be testing week 3 from tomorrow, and you know, fingers crossed, we will have lots and lots of stuff to talk about regarding Brewmasters as well. On the topic of my Brewmaster at the moment, if I pull up the old talent tree, I have made a couple of changes to my layout as well, and just the general philosophy I'm going with. I have reluctantly gotten rid of Chi Burst. The thing about Chi Burst is it's kind of cute. It's on a 30-second cooldown, does a little bit of nature and damage and a little bit of healing, which is nice. But I have another ability I'm most likely going to be using, which is also on a 30-second cooldown soon, called Feline Stomp, because I'm still going with Night Fae. I was almost tempted away, but I'm still going with it. So that means that I already have a lot of AoE at my disposal, and with the build that I'm playing with at the moment, it's very difficult to juggle all these balls in the air at the same time, because you know, you've got Kick Smash, you've got Breath of Fire, you've got Rushing Jade Wind, you've got Chi Burst if you pick it, and then on top of that you've also got Spinning Crane Kick for filler when you don't really have any filler time right now. That has a lot of AoE buttons to throw around, so I have reduced it by 1 and gone with either Tiger. I wouldn't ever go Chi Wave anyway, because you know, Chi Wave is dreadful. And it's also an additional button, which I don't really need any additional buttons because it's fairly crowded on there as is. I kept Chi Torpedo because it's awesome. I love Chi Torpedo so much. And Light Brewing as well. I'm trying at the moment to... Because I'm quite a conservative tank in the way that I build these things, at least at the beginning, I'm going to go with Light Brewing and try and keep Celestial Brew up for as long as possible, because at the moment, if I want decent defense and damage, that's where it's coming from. It's not coming from, you know, taking Celestial Flames, for example, and getting up to 10% damage reduction. Celestial Brew seems to be what we're going to be leaning on rather heavily. So having it at 24 seconds to start with, instead of 30 seconds, is quite kind of nice. If I was taking more dedicated magic damage, I might possibly go Black Ox Brew, because it would give me the opportunity to reset the cooldown of Celestial Brew in a niche moment where, you know, you're going to get another large magic damage to the face and Celestial Brew is on cooldown for whatever reason. Then I would probably go Black Ox, but for the moment I'm sticking with Light Brewing. Ring of Peace is still the best option, so keeping with that. Bob and Weave, certainly. On the proviso that I'm taking, you know, a lot of physical damage primarily, that's gonna help with the physical side of the damage, and you know, in the same way that Celestial Brew takes care of the magic side and the physical side. So I'll keep on with that for the moment. I did spec into Dampen Harm just to put it down on my bars down here. So if I need to change it quickly, I just change in and the button's already there. I don't need to drag it across or waste anybody else's time if I need to change things quickly. I don't see an overwhelming need for Dampen Harm. It is an odd ability given the way that Brewmasters are built. I would never use it for physical damage, for example, because stagger. Anyway, Special Delivery has been getting some mention at the moment because it's not target capped, which means, you know, if you have your standard Rushing Jade Wind, you know, it can only do damage to up to 6 enemies, and this is the same problem with Spinning Crane Kick as well. It's also target capped for the moment for Brewmasters. Special Delivery, on the other hand, is not target capped, so in theory, if you manage to get enough of them, all sort of bunched in together, you could do a little bit more damage, and you get the snare as well. The snare, I think, is secondary. I think, you know, if you want to try and turn it into a damage ability, you would have to do massive pulls in order to make it worthwhile. So people are talking about that. I'm not convinced because we're drinking less from our brews, so we don't have as many opportunities to create that damage in the first place. And Rushing Jade Wind is just a very familiar friend at the moment. Exploding Keg, I'd really like to take it, but it's just... No, can't do it, sorry. The snap aggro will be wonderful, it's a lot of fun. Visually it's a little underwhelming, but yeah, I just can't. At the moment, you know, you need a lot of AoE, especially in starting dungeons and stuff. When you're starting out in the expansion and you need to get a lot of people's attention. This is becoming an interesting bottom tier though. I mean, I'm going to try Blackout Combo because not only do you get the 2 seconds of additional brew cooldown taken away, but you also have the ability to use the other one on Blackout Combo while Keg Smash is on cooldown on Tiger Palm, which increases its damage by 100% and makes it a better single target ability damage-wise than Spinning Crane Kick, which has been one of its main problems at the moment, and people sort of debating whether or not, you know, you'd really like to hit Tiger Palm because of the brew reduction. But because of the damage, is if you really wanted to be threatening, you probably wouldn't use it right now. So this is one way you could get around it. And you know, my current thinking at the moment is, given that the damage of Breath of Fire, despite all of the many talents and legendaries and conduits that they put towards, you know, the whole Celestial Flames and Breath of Fire is still doing pathetic damage, both up front and as a dot. So I'm not going to be relying on that at all. I'm going to be relying more on the Celestial Brew up time, and taking additional 2 seconds off it is definitely the way to go with that. High Tolerance is running into a bit of a problem of its own because the stagger is 5% more effective. It's now also a conduit. So it's not beyond the realms of possibility that people will just get a level 15 conduit. I think it's Evasive Stride. Starts at 5% but goes up to 20%. And so, you know, when you already have Shuffle being 75% more effective to start with, then, you know, another 20% on top. You don't really need High Tolerance, especially when it's granting you haste, which is going to throw your rotation off. Haste is still remaining, unfortunately, the least valuable stat that we have. So it's kind of interesting that, you know, I'm going to try Blackout Combo and see how I go without the haste, because, you know, the things that are affected by haste, the one that really matters the most is probably going to be Keg Smash, followed by Purifying Brew. But, you know, if you have Keg Smash up more frequently, it's going to throw your rotation out a bit. So, yeah, I mean, High Tolerance could well be on the way out here. Interesting times. Anyway, let's go and have a play with these things. The action bar things haven't really changed. This is probably where I'm going to be putting Feline Stomp. This is probably where I'm going to be putting Soul Shape, because it's a movement ability, and these are all my other movement abilities down here. That's where Clash is going to go, and this is, mercifully, an additional button. I don't really know what to do with myself. My Engineering Bombs, I've actually moved on to... This is actually my entire engineering panel, so all of the control modifiers are my engineering gizmos and gadgets. So yeah, I'll have a run around, and we'll see how it goes. And then we'll move more onto what we're hoping for in terms of the new beta patch. Gotta say, this is kind of fun. I mean, it's a different world from what you're probably used to. So there's all sorts of stuff going on here, but it definitely does keep you busy. There are two main good things about this. If you're using Blackout Kick and then Kick Smash and then Blackout Kick and then Tiger Palm, that's a fairly easy rotation to remember. As soon as you're going to need muscle memory for it, so that's fine. But it also guarantees pretty much that you're going to keep shuffle up no matter what, because you're using pretty much all of the time two of the basic abilities that give you 8 seconds of shuffle, so that'll never drop off. So in that respect, it's very, very good. And then you've got the brew reductions tied into it, so you get 2 seconds off Kick Smash, and then you actually turn Tiger Palm into something that does more damage single target than Spinning Crane Kick does. So yeah, I can see how that's very, very beneficial. And then the basic idea is basically to keep up your Celestial Brew as much as possible. I kind of like it. I would like a bit more focus on the Covenants themselves. I think 3 of the 4 Covenants at the moment are bugged, which isn't terribly useful. The Curion definitely is bugged. I think the Venthyr Fallen Order one is the only one that's actually doing what it's supposed to be doing, and everyone else is just like, well, it just did a little bit pants at the moment. I know the Feline Stomp one is, the Stomp is actually showing up like several yards in front of you instead of, where you're actually standing, so that's a bit confusing because, how does that work? That said, I hope that's not intentional, because that would be really annoying. I'm sure it isn't intentional. Why would they do that to you? It also has the disadvantages. It's only hitting one target, and you kind of have to reset the encounter. I think you have to go as far as to actually log out before you get the ability to actually to use it again. So yeah, I mean, there's actually quite a lot of Nightfare stuff which is not working right now on the beta. So we can't be that close to launch, right? Because they're not going to let it go on like that. Yeah, the Bone Dust Brew, and I have been having a few come hither eyes at Bone Dust Brew because of the potential that it actually has. I'm pretty sure at the moment it's the shadow damage and healing components of that ability are not working, so it's very difficult to judge at the moment whether or not those components are good. At the moment it's currently sitting at, I think, 20%. I'd have to double check that, but I think it's 20% of all the damage you're dealing. It has a chance basically to proc 25% as shadow damage and healing for each of your abilities. It doesn't specify which abilities it comes off, so I'm assuming it's all of them. So you'd be wanting to use your higher damage abilities and not the ones which are manifestly crap at the moment. Breath of Fire! Man, I tell you, that touch of death is the mutt's nuts. It's the dog's balls. So yeah, I look at the Kyrian Covenant ability and I think that would be a great way to get a threat lead on a raid boss, or difficult Mythic Plus encounters, or high Mythic Plus keys. And that's probably how I would use it. I mean, the mastery component at the moment is a bit of a worry because we're not quite sure how strong our mastery is going to be. This is because, if you look at Blackout Kick at the moment, it's got, Blast of Chi Energy dealing with damage and granting shuffle for 3 seconds. That's nice, but it doesn't say anything about granting a stack of Elusive Brawler, which is what it used to do when it was Blackout Strike. So, is that intentional, or is it a mistake? We don't have any clarification on that. We're hoping that, in a soon-to-be-announced build that we might actually get some clarification on that, because, at the end of the day, if it's not going to be part of Blackout Kick, then we're going to have less dodge. Full stop. Mastery's value is going to be significantly diminished, and we're going to have to go into other things, probably crit verse again. So that part of it is still a worry, and it's still a question which hasn't been clarified as yet. The Venthyr ability is, at the moment, it's just a pure DPS cooldown. And you basically pray for the Fist of Fury guys. because the brewmaster full and all the monks, you know, are doing Breath of Fire, and who cares? Might as well just moo. However, of course, you know, the conduit does increase the damage that they will be doing by up to 50%, so, you know, that's definitely a good thing. Then if you're going for pure defense, you would go Bone Dust Brew at the moment, because it does have the shadow damage and healing, even though that's not working at the moment, and it does have the additional brew reduction as well. And more brew reduction means more uptime on Celestial Brew, which is pretty much what we seem to be relying on in Shadowlands, so the more Celestial Brew the better. So yeah, AoE tanking, Nightfey Covenant. You want a threat lead, Kyrian. DPS, Benthir. If you want to go full defensive, Necrolord. So, you know, there is some differentiation there. It's nice. You know what you're getting, or at least you've got a general idea until they actually start, you know, getting around to balancing the whole thing and throwing a few numbers at it. But I still think it's too soon for that. Yeah, I'm going to miss the Celestial Flame Pool. Just like, yeah, that's my number 6 on live store. It's just a shoom, 2 charges, and it's great to have a ranged pull. Hello, I can't hear you over how immune to the damage I am. I do love that. It's such a piss take, but it's so true. So yeah, what am I looking forward to? Definitely some fixes. That'd be awesome. Maybe some clarification. There's been very little movement in the whole Brewmaster design for the last couple of weeks. Not an awful lot has been going on, so I'm kind of interested yet slightly terrified at what they're going to come up with, because, you know, guys, it's Blizzard. Okay, so, you know, the Blackout Combo idea is going to take some getting used to. There's a lot of muscle memory involved there. But you will be able to squeeze out a little bit more damage, and you will be able to reduce brews and keep shuffle up almost indefinitely. So there's definitely some bonuses to this playstyle if you're willing to just keep working and getting the hang of it. And, you know, the PTR is a great way to do that if you don't have beta access, like me. So what do we have to look forward to? Well, I would like the 3rd week of the PTR to come out. The first 2 weeks have been fairly underwhelming / annoying. I'm not really on Team Zombie, so I'm not looking forward to seeing them again. And, you know, the Ice Ground had a few dailies. It wasn't particularly innovative in any way. It told a little bit of a story, but you know, it seems as if if you miss the entirety of the pre-patch, you're not really missing anything at all. I think most people will be on pre-patch anyway, just, you know, trying to establish themselves and practice a bit, and, you know, join guilds, that sort of thing. But the content itself is not particularly interesting. You know, I haven't really thought outside the box. In fact, you know, they're hitting a lot of nostalgia cues in order to pull everyone in before we all go off to the Shadowlands. So, you know, I can live without it, certainly. But anyway, yeah, those are my general thoughts at the moment. You know, I'm still pretty much going with Nightfey Covenant, but, you know, at the same time, I'm starting to see the value in Blackout Combo once I get used to it. Because at the moment, I'm definitely going to need a week or for it, that's for sure. Anyway, I am the Conspicuous Moo, and I bid you adieu.